Like Ms. Williams said, my name is Yara. I'm a student at Concord High School. I'm 15 years old and I'll be 16 in 2 weeks, which I'm really excited about. Um, I'm in the IB program at Concord High. This is my second year. All the IB program is just like a rigorous program that you can take during high school. It's really hard, but it's really made me into a better student, so I'm appreciative of that. I went to middle school here all 3 years, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and middle school was okay. Like, I liked my teachers, and the work was pretty easy, for me. I mean, whatever. But middle school wasn't necessarily the best time for me just because of all the things that I was going through. Like, in middle school, I had a ton of family problems. I didn't get along with my parents at all. I was so stressed out about everything all the time. I'm the kind of student who always has to have A's and always has to turn in things early and make sure they're perfect, and that stressed me out all the time in middle school. And then at the time I also had depression, which was undiagnosed at this time. So during the second semester of my 8th grade year, I started self-harming. I'll never forget the night that I started self-harming. It was when my parents and I had the worst fight we've ever had. I mean, it was awful. I was crying, they were crying, we were all yelling at each other, things were being thrown. I mean, it was just the most awful fight you could ever think of. I went to my room crying, and I was so convinced that my parents did not love me, that they did not care about me, and that, they just didn't care, And so that's when I hit my breaking point, and I went to my room and I took a blade that I had. It was about this big, and I sat down crying against my door. And I knew what cutting was. I'd never done it before, but I knew what it was. And cutting isn't a science. It is what it sounds like. You cut, you dig it into your skin, and blood comes out. It's what it is. And so I sat down, and it wasn't that I didn't know how to cut, it was that I didn't know if I should do it or not. But I sat down and cried and cried and cried, and I thought, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? And finally I came to the decision that I should. And it wasn't the right decision, but it was what I did. I sat down and I took that blade that was this big, and I went all the way from here on my wrist to about down here, and I just cut everywhere. And there was blood, obviously, and it hurt, because you're digging into your skin, it hurts. And I just remember thinking that I deserved this because I was a horrible daughter, I was a horrible student, I was a horrible person. I deserved everything that I was doing to myself, and that was just it. I deserved to feel envy, and I deserved to feel like a bad person because I was a bad person, or at least that's what I thought. After that,
teachers and students, please excuse the interruption. 7th grade girls and boys basketball players need to be dismissed at this time. 7th grade girls basketball and boys basketball team needs to be dismissed at this time. Thank you.
After that, cutting basically became my escape. I would go like a week without cutting, and then someone would say something mean to me or say something rude. They'd say like, oh, you look ugly, or oh, I can't believe you did this, or I can't believe you did that, and I would instantly go back to cutting. That's the thing I did when I was upset. I would just go and I would cut, and it would make me feel better because I thought that I deserved it. This went on for months. It wasn't just once that I cut. It was multiple times, and I never went like a week without cutting. Eventually my teachers noticed, and I spent days crying in Miss Weatherman's homeroom. I cried in Miss Williams' class. I spent every other day at the guidance counselor's office crying with Miss Fisher and telling her, I hate my life, I hate myself, I'm a horrible person, I can't stop cutting, I'm self-destructive, and I deserve all of this. And my arms were marked up. I couldn't wear short sleeve shirts. I covered it up. I didn't tell anyone what was going on. It was awful. And eventually my family noticed, and they sent me to see therapists. And I saw all kinds of therapists. Like, I went to group therapy, which is just as awful as it sounds. You sit in a room, and there's 10 chairs, and you each sit in a chair, obviously, and you just talk about your problems with a bunch of strangers. It's awkward, and it didn't really help me. Then I had family therapy, which my dad rarely went to because he had to work all the time. So it's literally me and my mom trying to sort out all our family problems that were causing this depression in my life. Then I had individual therapy, which was also stressful because you're sitting in this small room talking one-on-one with someone you don't even know, someone who's a complete stranger and just doesn't know anything about your life, and you have to explain to them why you're in their office. It's awkward, and I mean, it didn't help me that much. Eventually, I went to go see a psychiatrist, and he diagnosed me with depression, and he put me on antidepressants, which were disgusting, and were just, I mean, having to swallow pills every day just isn't my idea of fun. So, during the DC trip, during the DC trip, we went to DC. During the DC trip, I hit my breaking point. Just because on the DC trip, we got to see a lot of like really cool things, and like the first day was good. But after that, I had a fight with my best friend while we were on this ferry thing. And so, when you're depressed and the one person who's always supposed to be there for you argues with you and gets mad at you and is disappointed in you, it's awful because that was the person that you're supposed to be able to turn to, and yet they're standing here yelling at you and telling you that you're a horrible person. So now you have no one but yourself, and that's the situation I was in, where I thought I was all alone because now even my best friend hates me, and now I have even more of a reason to hate myself. So I went to the top part of the ferry in jeans and a short sleeve shirt, because that's what I was wearing, and it was below freezing. It was like 30 degrees. We were moving, so obviously the wind was blowing. It was terribly cold outside, and I sat there at the very top on this little bench, or not a bench, it was like the container where they keep the life jackets. I sat on that, and I cried my eyes out for like half an hour. And it was so cold, and I was so numb, and I just remember thinking that the numbness that I was feeling on the outside was just like the numbness I was feeling on the inside. I mean, I didn't feel anything, I didn't care, that's just it. I didn't care. I didn't care if I died, I didn't care if I lived. I just hated my life, and everyone else hated me too. I mean, that's what I thought. And so Miss Long, which she's the 8th grade science teacher, I love her, she came up to where I was, and she immediately she asked me what was wrong, she talked to me, and she sat there in the freezing cold weather with me for 2 hours as I cried and as I talked about everything that had ever gone wrong in my life. And she said, "It's going to be okay, I'm going to get you the help you need, and you're going to be okay." And when you're suicidal, and when you don't think your life is worth anything, and when you just want to end it all, having someone who believes in you, who wants you to get better, who cares about you and loves you, means everything. I could honestly say that she's one of the reasons that I kept fighting for my life, because she was the one person who showed me that she truly cared about me when I was at the lowest point of my life. And so when we got back from the DC trip, I started seeing even more counselors, but it helped because now all my teachers knew what I was going through, and they were supportive of me. They asked me how I was, they checked up on me. And the thing that I always like to think about rock bottom is that it's a beautiful place, because once you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere to go from there but up. Because once you've hit the lowest point in your life, things can't get worse. They can only get better. And that's such a beautiful thing, because I started talking to my friends about how I felt, and it wasn't an easy conversation. It's not, us at lunch, hey, I cut myself, hey, I hate myself, hey, I really want to kill myself. It's not just something you say to your friends. That's not normal or healthy. I mean, And so I had the conversation with my friends about how I was feeling, and I was scared because I didn't know how they were going to react. I didn't know if they were going to say, "Oh my God, you're so weird, I don't want to be your friend anymore," or "You're such a freak," or "Why are you doing this?" Because that's honestly what I expected. I expected them to hate me even more, and they didn't. They said, "I love you, I care about you, I'm here for you, call me whenever, text me whenever, I want you to be okay, scratch that, I want you to be happy, I want you to love yourself, and I just want you to be healthy." And so, with my friends, I got a ton of support. And what I did and what they did for me is we kind of started the Butterfly Project here at Concord. And what that is it's mostly like for self-harmers, but for people with other problems too. And like, and so what it is if you ever like feel the urge to cut or to starve yourself, to binge, you draw a butterfly somewhere. For me, it was on my wrist because that's where I always cut. You draw a butterfly and you name it after someone that you love or someone who loves you. And I mean, usually it's both, obviously. And so I started doing that. And at first I thought, this is kind of like silly, you know, like who draws on their wrist? Like we're not in elementary school anymore. But honestly, it really helped because every time that something bad would happen and I immediately wanted to cut, I would look at this butterfly on my wrist and I would think, Miss Williams cares about me. She would not want me to cut. Or Marissa would be so disappointed in me if I cut. And I know I would be disappointed in me. And it's something not to like guilt you into not cutting, but more like support you and know that people care about you and are pushing for you to recover and are pushing for you to get healthier. And so I started drawing butterflies every time I wanted to cut, and my friends started drawing butterflies. Getting there. So before the screen shut off, I had a PowerPoint that I made, and it's just pictures of my friends and the butterflies that they drew on their wrist, because back then that was so important to me, like having their support, and it's still important to me today, knowing that they did that for me, because their support meant everything to me. So here's a really cute one with like my name. It has an anchor and then like the infinity sign, but the anchor's drawn like through it, if you can see that. Then it says, "This butterfly will live," which I thought was really cute because, you know, they want it to live. This is one of my friends who's also a self-harmer, and she wrote her best friend's name, her brother's name, and my name. Another butterfly. This one says Yara, so I think that's really cute that like they especially had me in mind. It's another butterfly. This is from when I first started to. This is from when I first attempted to stop cutting, and you can't really see it, but in this picture I have a butterfly, obviously, because I'm trying to stop cutting, but I also had scars on my wrist because I was cutting back then. Then this one is from, I can't remember, it's like either the first or second month that I stopped cutting, and I remember the first month was so hard because every time that something bad happened, that's immediately what I wanted to do. I wanted to cut. And so going a whole month without cutting was so important to me, and it was so important to my friends, and I just remember how proud they were of me and how happy they were for me. And I remember that for the first time in a really long time, I was proud of myself. Then this is like one of those Transformation Tuesday pictures from, again, when I was trying to stop cutting. You can still see scars because this is back, you know, I was still trying. And then this picture is from when I stopped cutting. And I just think it's so beautiful knowing that I have no scars anymore, that I was just a regular person, that I could wear whatever I wanted without fearing that someone would look at my wrist, and that I could just be normal, you know, not have to worry about cutting or anything because I had stopped. This is another picture, again, going back to what I said about hiding it. I would always wear long sleeves. I hated PE because they made us dress out, And when you dress out, obviously it's like a t-shirt, and so people would see my scars. So I would like try to hide them the best that I could. I'd wear bracelets. I'd, not really talk to anyone. I would do anything to avoid people seeing my scars. And so when I stopped cutting, I didn't have to worry about that anymore. I wasn't paranoid all the time that someone would know that I was depressed, that I was cutting, that I hated myself. I was able to be okay and to function like a normal person. And that's when I was 100 days clean. This picture of a toilet, it's a video I posted on Instagram. It's from when I was 105 days clean. This is when I made the brave and bold decision to flush my blades down the toilet. Because at this point in time, I was a little after 3 months clean, and I had decided that I was going to stop cutting. I knew that that was a decision I wanted to make, and that was it. But I had always kept my blades because it made me feel safe. It was weird. It was like I wanted to stop cutting, but at the same time, I kept them because I knew that if I ever wanted to go back, they were right there in my room and I could get them whenever I wanted and just cut. And that made me feel safe. As, weird and disturbing as that is, it made me feel safe. But when I reached 100 days, I was like, whoa, that's 100 days. And it made me so happy. And so I talked to my youth pastor, and she was like, yeah, I'm really proud of you, but I think you should flush them because if you're really planning to stop, then you won't need these anymore. And I was scared. I didn't want to get rid of that safety net, but I did. And I was like, you're right. So we flushed them down the toilet together, and I haven't picked up one since. This is a journal entry because I really like writing. It's a journal entry from the date when I was 1 year self-harm free. I was so proud. I literally stayed up till midnight because I knew when it hit midnight, that was the day that I would be 1 year self-harm free, and I was so excited. And so I wrote in my journal and I drew butterflies, and I was just so happy. This is my Instagram post from when I turned 18 months self-harm free, which is a really big deal for me because, that's a year and a half. And so much changes in a year and a half. You change grades, you grow as a person, your friends grow. There's just all kinds of changes that I thought I wasn't going to be able to handle, but I did. And I didn't give in to cutting even though I wanted to. Since I started high school, I've stopped going to see a therapist. I don't do that anymore. I also am off antidepressants, no more popping pills for me. Things have gotten a lot better. I've joined clubs, I run track and cross country, which I love. Being part of a team is incredible. And joining IB, I've become the student that I've always wanted to be and that I've always known that I could be. The thing about dark times is that you always think that they're never going to end. When I was going through all of this, I legitimately wanted to kill myself because I saw no value for my life. And when that was 8th grade? When I was in 8th grade, I remember that I wanted to kill myself, and I remember thinking that I wasn't even going to make it to high school. And it's just so crazy knowing that here I am in my 2nd year of high school talking to you guys, when back then in that moment, I did not know that I was even going to make it to high school. And so it's really important to me that I have. I didn't really see the purpose for what I was going through, but I do now, and it's helping other people, which is why I'm here. There's obviously been some really hard times where I wanted to cut, I wanted to relapse, but I haven't, and I'm really, really proud of that. There's so many beautiful, beautiful things in life that I've gotten to experience and that you all will get to experience. But the thing is, you have to live and you have to be here to experience them. And back then, I didn't know that I would get to have all these fun memories and meet all these great people because I couldn't see past 8th grade and I couldn't see past wanting to kill myself and I couldn't see past that depression that was just clouding me. So I put together a shortish PowerPoint of things that I've done since the 8th grade that I think are incredible, because every single day I think about how great it is to be alive and how many great things I've experienced since then when I wanted to kill myself. This is a picture from my quinceañera, which I'm Hispanic, so that's kind of like a big deal for me. It's like a sweet 16, but you know, in my culture. And this was like a huge party that my parents threw for me at Hotel Concord. There's around 230 people. It was crazy. There's so many people there who all were so happy to be there and who loved me and cared about me. And it was just so incredible knowing that all those people were there because they cared about me, and knowing that I was celebrating another year of life when I didn't even think I'd make it to be 15. This is a picture of the guys that I danced with at my quinceañera, just like tradition stuff. Picture walking through downtown. That dress was so big, it was like this big around, and I could barely walk in it. I had to like try to squeeze through people and like squeeze the dress. It was really funny. Another picture of us after Mass. That was really fun. They looked really good in their little tuxes, you know. And me again, and our theme was masquerades. I had my little mask. The day after that, I went to the Demi Lovato concert, which I love Demi Lovato. I think she's an inspiration to everyone around her and like people, like all her fans. And so getting to see her was so big for me. These were my seats, and like that was the stage, so I was so close. And during one point of the concert, she like came down to the floor area, and she was like walking around right there. So I ran out of my seat and I went to the little gate thing, and I had this picture that my friend Katie took. I couldn't find it, but it's like my blurry arm like moving towards her, and she's like 3 feet away from me, and that is the day that I almost touched Demi Lovato. And which you guys think it's funny, and I think it's hilarious, but it just goes to show like this is something I never thought I'd do. Like I never thought I would be 3 feet in front of my inspirations, and I was, because I chose to continue my life. This is a picture of me at the Keystone banquet. Keystone is just a community service club at the Boys and Girls Club that you can join when you guys are in high school. I would recommend it for all of you. I love it. We are a big family. It is incredible. We do blood drives. We tutor kids. If you guys have ever been to Pancake Day, have you guys been?
I have.
Okay, Keystone puts that together. We put out all the chairs. We make all the coffee. I mean, we put all of that together, and it's so fun. It's such a good experience. But yeah, I'm Keystone Secretary this year, so that's been really fun, and I love being a part of Keystone. If you've ever played sports, you know that your team is your second family. I mean, my team means the world to me. They're so supportive, and they've always been there for me through everything. Here's one of my friends, Stephanie. She's a foreign exchange student who I ran track with. She's from Austria, so I love hanging out with her and getting to see like hear about her experiences and what Austria was like, and you know what all her cultures was like, and she could speak like 4 different languages. I mean, this girl was so cool. I loved her, and I still write letters to her and stuff. And then here's another picture of my team. I chose this picture because Emma's face looks funny. That's the only reason I chose that picture. Here's one of my friends, Maddie. On my 1-year mark of being self-harm free, I love Maddie. She was so proud of me, and I was so proud of myself. This is a picture of like my body progress, just because when I was in the 8th grade, one of the things that factored into my depression was how self-conscious I was and how much I hated my body and I hated myself. And I remember at one point in time I couldn't even look myself in the mirror because I just thought I was so ugly. I mean, I cried when I looked in the mirror because I didn't even think I was worthy of being here looking at myself. I just thought I was the most disgusting thing ever. And going from that to being a person who works out every day and eats right and knows that, you know, being healthy is important. I mean, I've improved so much, like physically too. Like I ran cross country and track. I work out every day. Like I said, I eat right, and my body's just gotten so much better. And I'm fit, I'm healthy, and I'm happy. So, this is a picture from my first 10K. A 10K is 6 miles, which like isn't really a lot. My next goal is a half marathon, but I mean, it's just important to me because running is important to me. Then here's a picture of me at Disney World because I never got to go to Disney as a kid, and I went to Disney with my whole family, which was honestly, I mean, it was a magical experience. Like, it was so cool, and I love Winnie the Pooh and Tigger. They're like my childhood heroes, and so getting to meet them was just so great. I only cried a little bit, and at the beginning, and and so I mean, just getting to experience that with my family was something I honestly thought I'd never do. Then here's my sisters. This is my boyfriend Adam. I just put this in here because when I was in the 8th grade, like I said, I was really self-conscious, and I was like, no one will ever like me, blah, 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 you know, all that stuff that you tell yourself when, you know, you don't have a boyfriend. But he's been really supportive of everything and really loving, and so it's been nice having him around. Here's another selfie. Anyway, and obviously my family has been really important to me. This is a picture of my little sister's 8th birthday party. She's wearing like a little Anna dress like from Frozen. Anna shoes, Anna tiara. I mean, she just like had it all going on, man. And she's so cool. And here's my other sister, Kaylee. She's also cool, but I'm gonna talk about her. The story that I told the other groups is that when my little sister Angie was born, it was February 1st, 2007, and it was a snow day. And I remember being so mad at my parents as a 3rd grader because my parents were making me go to the hospital to see this ugly little red newborn. You know, like newborns are ugly, you know, like they're red and they're gushy and they're gross. I mean, they're not pretty. And so I remember just being so mad that I had to go look at this little shrivelly rat instead of playing out in the snow. But honestly, it's been such a blessing seeing my little sister grow up. I mean, Angie is mini Yara. She is crazy, she's sarcastic, she's sassy beyond belief. She's energetic, she's little me, and I love it. I've enjoyed watching her grow up so much. And honestly, back in the 8th grade, I never thought I'd see her grow up. And now, I mean, I can't wait until she has her quinceañera, until she goes through all the stuff that I've gone through. I mean, I'm just so excited to watch her grow up and watch her become this incredible person that I know that she is and that she's gonna be. This is the second part, but I know this is a really hard topic. It's not something you talk about every day. You don't go to lunch and like, let's talk about suicide. It's not one of those topics at all. But I think it's something that has to be talked about. If any of you are feeling this way, you know, like feeling the way I did in 8th grade, or have ever felt this way, you guys can come talk to me. A lot of your classmates like follow me on Instagram.
Wait, is it still Hey Yara?
Yeah.
Did you follow me back?
I'll follow you back. Just see me after class. I'm sorry. I'm really bad at that. Anyway, but you guys can reach out to me. I can give you my number. You guys can call me or text me if you ever feel like you need someone. My goal here is to just be the person that I needed in the 8th grade. Because when I was in the 8th grade, I felt so alone and I thought no one liked me. And obviously I had friends, but I had no one who had gone through something like this and who had gotten better. And so I just want to be the person that I would have needed when I was your age. The important thing here is that you talk to someone, whether it be me, your friends, your family, a teacher, a counselor. It's just so important to talk to someone and tell them how you're feeling. And it's 100% okay to ask for help. There is no shame in getting help and saying I'm not okay, because people love you and they want you to get better and to be healthy and happy. Cutting will not solve your problems. I can tell you from experience. Cutting ruined my life. Cutting made me depressed. Cutting made me suicidal. It didn't help me. I thought it did, and it didn't. It was ruining my life. Ending your life will also not help it. Because at the time, I thought that no one cared. I thought that no one loved me. I thought my life was literally worth nothing. But now I know that if I had killed myself in the 8th grade, my parents would have never gotten over it. My friends never would have gotten over it. My sisters would not have someone to look up to and to be there for them. My friends wouldn't have had someone to be there for them. You're so important. You're so important, even if you don't think you are. There's so many people that love you and depend on you and just want you in their lives. There's around 40,000 Americans that take their life each year. My other goal here is to talk to you guys and spread awareness, but also hopefully connect with at least one of you to let you know that it's okay if you're going through something like this. You can recover, you can get better. Life is a beautiful thing, and you all should be around to experience everything I've experienced and more. I just want you all to live really happy and healthy lives. I don't want you guys to be another statistic. I know that you guys always hear it'll get better, it's just a phase, you'll grow out of it. And in a sense, it's true. Not necessarily you'll grow out of it, but the phrase it gets better, because it does. And when I was in the 8th grade, I really didn't think it was going to get better. I thought that me cutting myself was all that there was, and that eventually I would just kill myself. And I didn't. And so I just want you all to know that it does get better, and I'm standing here at this moment to be living, breathing proof of what I just said, that it does get better. I've gotten better. When I was in the 8th grade, I was self-loathing, self-destructive. I thought my life was worth nothing. I was at the lowest point of my life. I just didn't see any hope for me whatsoever. And now, I'm the person I've always wanted to be. I'm happy, I'm fit, I'm healthy, I have good grades, I think I'm a good student. I've become the daughter, the student, the friend, the girlfriend, just the person that I've always wanted to be. And, basically I've just turned my life around and I've changed my story, and I think that if you guys are going through something like this, then you can too.